Still no sign of Myung Jae Lee.
I know.
Does this guy exist?
Yeah.
Where is he? If anybody spotted Myung Jae Lee, just let us know where you've seen him. And we'll get all the answers. Obviously, he's been seen him in Sainsbury's and stuff like that. But so welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. And as the season starts to draw to a close, we're getting to that stage now where all the games are crucial. Now, for Birmingham City, we sit handsomely on top of EFL League One with 8 games to play. And next up for us is Barnsley at St.Andrews at KnightheadPark. In this podcast, myself and Matt are going to preview the game, have a chat about Barnsley and give our thoughts on what we think might be the starting lineup for Birmingham City. So Barnsley, Matt, coming to St Andrews, 3 o'clock on a Saturday. What do you think?
Well, 3 o'clock on a Saturday is always my favourite time. We speak fondly of it, don't we, Dad? We don't like these midweeks and these Fridays and Mondays. But yeah, I mean, Barnsley had a bit of a stinker on Tuesday. They lost 2-1 at home to Exeter. And I don't mean that to sound disrespectful to Exeter. They're a good team, but when you're Barnsley and your fan base thinks you're a playoff pushing team, you need to be winning those sorts of games at home. I think even fact that someone can fact check me on this. I think they've only won 5 games at Oakwell this season. Again,
they're the fifth worst home record in the whole division.
That's really surprised me. I thought Barnsley and Oakwell would be a bit not a fortress, but I thought it'd be a lot better and stronger than that.
If I was to say to you they're the 5th worst,
I wouldn't expect that
home record, but they're also the 4th best away record.
It's bizarre, isn't it? It's normally in reverse.
It seems to be maybe like you said. So playing at Oakwell is a bit of a maybe there's some psychological thing going on. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, but we're coming in off the back of a 2-1 win against Bristol Rovers. We all know as Birmingham City supporters it wasn't the greatest performance, but we grinded it out. We won. That's what champions do, isn't it? At the end of the day, but. Preparing for this video, Dad, I was reflecting on the first game. Do you remember at Oakwell?
Yes.
And it was almost in the middle of that storm. And
Storm Dara, I went
Storm
home.
Dara.
All the fence was down.
Yeah, my fence was down. So yeah, it was unbelievable. But what I was thinking was, remember, we were there, we were watching the game, and we thought this is it wasn't a poor game of football, but it definitely seemed a bit clunky. And then we walked to the coach at the end, and the wind almost took us from our seat directly to the coach, didn't it? I mean, it was so strong. And great goals from Jay Stansfield to turn that around. We did go 1-0 down there, didn't we? But a great day, a great away day. Hopefully we can repeat that on Saturday and get 3 points against them. But, they're not going to come and roll over. We're going to have to earn these 3 points. No doubt they're going to be a tough opponent. And, I'm expecting them to come all guns blazing.
They will do. And, fair play to Barnsley. They're a well-supported club. They got good supporters, Barnsley. They always come in numbers. I'm sure they'll sell out their allocation. I think they might have sold out their allocation for St Andrews. So,
sorry to interrupt that. I'll never forget Barnsley. I'll never forgive Barnsley because I think I must have been about 8 or 9 at the time and they beat us 4-1 in the playoff final. Do you remember? In the
it was a playoff semi-final.
Playoff semi-final.
And it was 4-0 at our place.
The first leg at St Andrews.
It was 4-0. I think we won 1-0 at their place.
Yeah.
Something like that. But yeah, I remember that. That was nightmares. But
that was horrible, wasn't it?
But obviously Barnsley, there's a lot of comparisons with us in terms of the fan base. They're well supported. They're I don't like using the term working class, but they're the type of fans that sort of we can sort of relate to who follow their team, and they'll come to St Andrews in numbers.
Yeah.
But I think most Barnsley fans will obviously agree that this has been a poor season for them. I think they were fancied to at least challenge for the playoffs, and they've really not fired at all this season. In fact, their current form, the last 10 games, they've won 3, drawn 2, and lost 5. But actually, they haven't won in the last 6. They've lost 4 and drawn 2. So that's not good. We've won 7, drawn 2, and lost 1 of our last 10. And in the form table, they're 2/3 of the way down. So they're obviously not in great form based upon those results. But the key thing for us to watch is their away form is excellent. Like I said, they've got they're 4th in the table. In fact, they're level 3rd with Wrexham. 32 points they've got away from home, and only 22 at home.
That is staggering, isn't it?
Yeah, they score 54 goals, which puts them about halfway in the table of League One, but they've conceded a lot, 57. So they're down in round about 18th or 19th in terms of the amount of goals conceded. So I think clearly there are two problems for them, really, isn't it, really? It's 1, their home form, and 2, that they concede a lot of goals.
Yeah, definitely. And bigger picture than that, Dad, I think they're being ran into the ground because I don't follow Barnsley extensively. I don't, follow their social media channels, but I do glance at things when I'm preparing for podcasts. And I did prepare for this. I didn't prepare for this in December, but when we prepared for the first one in December, I did have a scan over their social media channels, and they seem very upset with the board, lack of investment, a bit. They remind me a little bit of Huddersfield. When we talk about Huddersfield, Adam, we say that they're a club who just needs a bit of a revamp, a little bit of a refresh. They're a little bit stale. They've got owners who are running them into the ground a little bit. They need some fresh blood in, some new talents, a good transfer market. And, I saw fans commenting on their post yesterday when they lost to Exeter about, not renewing their season tickets. And the reason why I reference this is because we've been there as Blues, haven't we? Under our previous ownership. But don't get me wrong, the fortunes have turned very amazingly for our club currently, but we have been there where you question yourself, do I really want to give this owner my season ticket money year after year? But as a supporter, it's a difficult internal battle, isn't it? Because you want to support your club and you love your club and you want to back the boys, but you don't want to give your money to a board who are just going to waste it. So I think they're in that kind of predicament at the moment, which again we can relate to. I think they're a little bit frustrated as a fan base. But as you say, Dad, as a team, as a football team this season, they have been, I would class, and I think Barnsley fans would agree, they've been poor. And I think they would have expected to do a lot better. In fact, pre-season, Dad, I believe their fan base were talking about a playoff position and a playoff place at the end of the season. So to now finish around mid-table, I think it's going to be a big disappointment for them.
It is. Their current form as well, I think, was it just at the turn of the year? They got rid of Darryl Clark, their manager, and they replaced, I don't know if it was the turn of the year or maybe slightly after. But if you look at their results, I mean, from the 4th of January, they beat Crawley 3-0 at their place. Since then, they've only won 3 games since the beginning of January, and they were 3 games in a row. So they've lost 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They've lost 10 games, drawn 3. And won 3 since the beginning of January. Wow. The 3 wins were 3 in a row. After they lost at home to Huddersfield 2-1 in the middle of February, they beat Rotherham 1-0 at Rotherham. They beat Northampton 2-1 at Northampton, and they beat Lincoln 4-3 at their place. Then it's literally 1-0 loss to Barnsley. Barnsley, they are Barnsley. They didn't lose themselves.
They beat themselves.
1-0 loss to Charlton away. A 3-0, 3-0 home defeat to Blackpool. A 2-1 away defeat at Mansfield. Then they drew 1-1 at home to Cambridge, 1-1 away to Wigan. Their last game, as you mentioned, they lost 2-1 at home to Exeter. So that is not great form. No. What I would say is that from our perspective, they've still got good players. We'll talk about some of their players very briefly in a moment. And they are going to be a danger because they literally. How many times am I going to say this? But they literally have nothing to. They ain't going to get relegated, and they ain't going to get promoted. So they might as well come and have a go, because if they lose, they lose. Do you know what I mean? So they're absolutely nothing not to do that. So I think they will come at us, but we are strong at home. Got the best home record in the country. Yeah. We've only lost 3 times. Not lost. We've only drawn 3 times and won all the others. We haven't lost at all yet.
Best midfield in the league as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. Do you remember that? I think it was up until Christmas time. I think some Barnsley fans on social media were saying that Barnsley had the best midfield in League One. Yeah. I think you've probably changed your mind a little bit like that. But they have got some good strength. So they like creating chances with individual skill. I'll talk about a couple of their good players in a moment as well. They like long shots as well. So if they get the opportunity, they will, and also shooting from direct free kicks. But as you can imagine, because of their run, they have got a few weaknesses as well. Finishing scoring chances, so then and that's obviously borne out by the amount of goals that they've scored. Defending counter attacks and avoiding individual errors are real problems for them as well. And also, if they do get in the lead, they have a problem keeping it.
Well, case in point, Blues at their place earlier in the season.
Yeah. Well, we would have actually added to that stat, wouldn't we?
Exactly.
So a team of that are capable of hurting us, but clearly have not fulfilled their potential this season at all.
Well, there's 3 games I've seen them in this season, Dad. One was Exeter last night because of research for this. The other one was Wrexham in preparation for the Blues game in December, and then obviously Blues in December. So I've seen Barnsley 3 times, and 3 goals they've conceded in all those games. You should see the amount of space certain players get. It is wild. I mean, if you have a look at the Exeter goal, the first goal they scored yesterday, the midfielder brings it forward in loads of space, passes it through, the player's in loads of space, and he ends up scoring. Against Blues, Jay Stansfield, the amount of space he had to... I mean, don't get me wrong, take nothing away from Blues and Jay Stansfield. It was a phenomenal finish. The amount of space he had to take that shot, the amount of space he had at the back post from the corner. And then against Wrexham, when I was doing my research, I remember it was like 90 plus 3. I think it might have been Rathbone. He ran, he just brought the ball forward 25 yards, no one around him, and scored. So we are going to have, if this pattern continues, fair enough. I mean, I'd be staggered if they're 3 isolated incidences over 3 different games. I happen to be watching them. So I've got a feeling we're going to get a decent amount of space. I mean, they will close us down quickly because they're at St. Andrews. We know all teams do tend to up that intensity, don't they? They do like to press us a little bit more aggressively than they would do in normal games. Hopefully they run out of steam quite early if they do that, but I think we're going to have a decent amount of space. And all jokes aside in the midfield, this game's going to be won in the midfield this weekend, in my opinion, because if you do give Barnsley time and space on the ball, they can do you some damage, to be fair.
They have got some decent players.
They're not a bad team, so I think we need Paker Iwata or Leonard Iwata, whatever the combination is in the midfield, and then to win their battles, and we need Dowell and Williamson if they're going to be playing to be creative. We need them to be brave and play those balls that we know that they can. And against Bristol Rovers, we noticed that they were a little bit disappointed with our creative players, weren't we? They weren't really doing the business what they should have been doing. But everyone's entitled to an off game. I'm not jumping on anything here. I'm just saying that we need them to be firing against Barnsley. We need to be creating chances.
Absolutely. I mean, in addition to those 3 games that you mentioned, I remember watching the very first game in League One this season.
Against Mansfield.
Yeah,
I remember watching that.
Barnsley at home to Mansfield, and it surprised me because Mansfield won that game.
They did, yeah.
I think Barnsley took the lead in that game as well. Or whatever. Anyway, they lost it, didn't they, Barnsley? Yeah. And I remember watching that, thinking Barnsley. At that point, no games had been played apart from that one. And I was thinking then that these are supposed to be a team that's going to be challenging. I looked at that thinking they're going to have a tough season. As it's actually happened, it's turned out to be that way. Just a bit on their style of play. They do like to, so they will shoot on sight. And I like teams that do that. I wish we did that a little bit more, but they do that. They do like possession football, which I think they'll struggle against us because we've got the highest possession in...
What's their possession? Do you have that stat?
I haven't got the actual stat, but
I would predict around maybe 45%. 50% maybe.
Well, if they like possession football, it's going to be 50 plus. I would have thought.
Okay. Interesting.
I would have thought. Yeah, they do take long shots and like long balls, so we could end up with obviously trying to bypass that midfield you were talking about as well.
They did that. I remember their first goal. I mean, take nothing away, by the way. It was a lovely ball down their right hand side, but we didn't deal with it very well, and they scored from crossing it in. Again, very direct.
It was, and I think they'll be directing, particularly at St Andrews as well. Just do a little bit on their goal scorers. So the standout player. Well, there's 2 actually, really that get their goals. Davis, Kelly Dunn. He's got 14 goals for attacking midfielder. Adam Phillips.
That's a lot.
Central midfielder. Yeah, 9
goals. Yeah.
9. John Russell, central midfield with 6. Stephen Humphreys 5. And Max Waters 5.
They've got goals in them.
Yeah, but I tell you a player I really liked that I've seen this season as well is Corey O'Keefe. He's a right back. He's got 7 assists, so that's either going to be from possibly throw-ins or corners or stuff like that. Adam Phillips has got 4 assists. Luca Connell's got 4 assists, and Davis Keller had done 3 assists, and John Russell 2. So they have got goals in them. Obviously, when you see a striker with 14 goals in a team that's sort of mid-table. That's clearly a player to watch.
Absolutely. Their manager's going to get a frosty reception, Dad.
Conor Horan,
ex-Villa.
Yeah, ex-Villa, ex-Norwich, ex-Villa, an ex-player of theirs, isn't he? So they made him manager. Now, looking at their setup, they statistically, most formations this season have been 3-5-2. But I've got a feeling, because I don't know this for sure, and maybe Barnsley fans can tell us, I think that was the formation under the previous manager. In the last game,
Darryl Clark.
Darryl Clark, yeah. No, Darryl Clark was their previous manager. Yeah,
I didn't know whether you meant even further back.
No. This season,
Clark,
this season. So they have played 3-5-2. In the last match though, which they obviously lost home to Exeter, it was 3-4-2-1. So I think if they come to St Andrews, they might end up playing that 3-4-2-1 again. That gives them a bit of stability
with wing backs.
Yeah, and obviously gives them the chance of the one up front will probably be the obviously Davis Keller had done.
But again, before what was his name again? Darryl Clark. Barnsley were known for their wing back play. They're stretching teams wide. They had like an identity. They knew what their style of football was. They weren't. Minus this year, they're not a bad League One football inside Barnsley. In fact, they were in the Championship 3-4 years ago. So and
they've made the playoffs last year, weren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
I think they were expected to do better this year. And
I think
for one reason or they haven't. But they sold Callum Styles. He went for 600k. He went to West Brom. I don't think he's really done much there. I don't know, but I think they got 600k for him. I think he was linked with us and some like about 100 other players as well. Herbie Kane went to Huddersfield. He was with them as well. Jordan Williams, he went to Portsmouth. He's a right back. Devante Cole went to West Brom as well. So obviously you can see, you look at players like Herbie Kane, Devante Cole. there's goals in there that they've obviously
Yeah.
end up saying. So they are a team, I think, in transition, and I see them very much. Barnsley fans
I
are not going to
don't.
like me for this, but I think they're very much along the lines of the way Huddersfield are at the moment. They're in a bit of turmoil, and I think for both teams, Huddersfield and for Barnsley, I think this summer is absolutely crucial for both teams.
I don't even think they're in transition, Dad. I think they're in decline, and the transition hasn't happened yet. Genuinely, I think that they're being ran really badly. They're a bit all over the place. They're, changing managers, not really got an identity, a strategy. And the fact that their fans are questioning whether to get season tickets next season is quite a sad state of affairs, isn't it? So I think they will transition. I think this season they're going to have to write it off and just say it was a bad one. Their board are going to have to get together, invest some money, and get some fresh blood in.
But Matt, we can think back to all the years we was in the Championship and struggling, and every summer we had transfer embargoes as a Birmingham City. We were only working in the free or the loan market. We know what it's like, and we somehow, apart from the last season when we got relegated, we managed to survive. And I think that teams like Barnsley, who won't maybe have the financial backer unless they get new owners, they'll need to recruit cleverly. Not Tom Cleverly, but you know what I mean. They need to think smartly about the way that they recruit, because they're not going to have the finances or resources to do that. But I'm expecting again, as always, we're quite realistic in what we expect. We know that all teams that come to St Andrews have a go. It's going to be a big crowd again, and opposition teams come here, they have a go. I'm hoping that because Barnsley have got a good away record, they don't do what a lot of other teams have actually, park the bus and just try and catch us on the break. I think they may do that, actually, but I hope they don't, and that should make for a much better game.
I don't think they'll park the bus as aggressively as we've seen, but they will be defensive with the wing backs. Those defenders will hold back more than they usually would in other games. Put it that way, for sure.
Yeah.
Blues.
Yeah, let's go on to the Blues team.
It's my turn to do the boring bit, and that's the goalkeeper and defence, because I feel like this is just routine at this point. But I've gone Allsop in goal, Cochrane left back, Davies, Clara, and Laird.
Now, bear in mind, because that back five have started the last two games in close succession, it's whether there'll be any rotation in there. I'm not sure, because we've got, obviously, Barnsley, then we've got Peterborough on Tuesday night.
Yeah. And then also Peterborough in the, I was about to say Carabao Cup. No, I wish it was.
The Virtue Trophy.
In the Virtue Trophy at Wembley. So,
it's where there's any rotation, because there's always a possibility that Chris Davis might look and think, well, actually, just to keep things a little bit fresh, I might give Clara or Davis get them on the bench and bring Hanley in, because I'm sure Hanley could do a decent job,
or Samstead for Laird.
Yeah, so there are options there, but I think that if they're all fit and firing, I think he will go for that back five, including the goalkeeper as well.
Yeah. Go for it then, Dad. Go for it.
Well, again, I'm thinking like the way that Chris Davis has set up the team over the last few games against Shrewsbury and against Bristol Rovers, and it's going to be very similar. I've gone for, again, Anderson on the left. In the middle, now this is where I think there will be a change. I think Paik will come back and start with a Water. And we know that he's come back off a niggle when he went on international duty. And Leonard started the last two games, but I think Paik will be back with a Water. And I think he's going to do the same thing again. I think he'll go for Dowell on the right, Williamson in number 10, and Stansfield up front.
Yeah. I've gone Paik and a Water in the sixes. I've gone Keshi. Williamson, Dowell, Stansfield. Yeah. But if you'd like to know what I'd like to see, I'd like to see Paik and Awata back in the two centre mids. I'd like to see Keshi Anderson on the left. I'd like to see Mark Leonard in 10, believe it or not. And then I'd like to see Dowell on the right. And I know people might be saying hypocrite because I've said that Dowell's our favourite number 10, and I get that. But I think Leonard still offers us something in terms of front. Because I know you highlighted in one game, Dad, about his breakup of play, but I actually think his passing and his link-up play moving forward is really, really good. So I think you could put Leonard on the bench, put Dowell on the 10 and have Williamson, but I think with Leonard and Dowell, it gives you extra firepower moving forward, in my opinion. But I'm not the manager. It's going to be down to, of course, Chris Davis.
Think with our team selection, I think we're always trying to adjust based upon the left wing position.
Yeah.
Because Hansen is the first choice left winger, even though he's right-footed. But if he's out injured, obviously Anderson is right-footed, because I would prefer to see Keshi on the right.
Yeah, same.
But he can't, because, well, he could, but then that would mean who would go on the left? And Stansfield was put on the left when he brought May on against Bristol Rovers, which, works and it don't, if you know what I mean. But I think we're nailed on to actually get a new left
Yes.
winger,
Yeah,
absolutely in the summer. I think that's a crucial position for us. But that's what I think. I think on the bench we'll have Bailey Peacock-Farrell, Samstead, Hanley, Harris, Leonard, Yuki and May, probably.
Yeah.
Still no sign of Myung Jae Lee.
I know.
Does this guy exist?
Yeah.
Where is he? If anybody spotted Myung Jae Lee, just let us know where you've seen him. And we'll get all the answers. Obviously, he's been seen him in Sainsbury's and stuff like that. But yeah, that's what we think the starting lineup will be. But obviously, we may see some rotation because that's 2 games that we've had already, and we've got other games coming up really, really fast.
Yeah.
So it's going to come to a point where I think Chris Davis is going to have no choice but to freshen it up. What I think he might want to do, obviously, we need 8 points to secure a promotion. He may be more flexible once we've got over the line in thinking, well, actually, we've achieved accomplished the task. Maybe now I can actually sort of give the players a bit more of a go and maybe do a bit of experimenting for next season.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and that leaves us with a score prediction.
Yeah, so I'm going to go back to my my safety blanket.
Back to your roots.
Back to my roots, yeah. I'm glad we got it spot on for Bristol Rovers 2-1, but I'm going to go back for another clean sheet. I think at St.Andrews, the Fortress, undefeated so far at home. I've gone for Birmingham City 2, Barnsley 0.
Okay. I think because of Barnsley's strong away record, I believe they'll score. Okay. So I'm going to go for, this doesn't happen very often at St. Andrews, I think they'll score 2.
Right, okay.
So I'm going to go for Birmingham City 3, Barnsley 2.
Nice.
3 well, not
well,
nice.
It is nice because it'll be entertaining, and we're on the winning side, so
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah, I think Barnsley, I think they won't surprise us in as much as we won't be surprised because we know that they're a decent team. They've definitely underperformed this season, Barnsley, in my opinion. Even with the struggles that they've had, they've still underperformed, and this is a really good platform for them to show what they can do. So I think this is going to be a match where they'll have a proper go. I think there's going to be goals in this. I've gone 3-2 Blues.
Fair enough. That everyone is entitled to their opinion. I just cannot see if it's Clara, Davies, and Allsop in that little triangle. I can't see us conceding 2 personally, but fair.
Well, I've gone 3-2, but 0-0 incoming.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No,
Tell you what, though, if it's 3-2, the first round at Wembley's on me.
Okay, well, it is anyway. He just doesn't know that yet. Okay, so that's what we think, Birmingham City supporters. It would love, as always, to have your comments. So let us know your thoughts on the Barnsley game in the comment section below. If you're a Barnsley fan, we welcome comments from the fans of opposition teams as well. So please feel free to add your comments below. Let us know what you think about your team, your prospects maybe for probably next season now, and what you need to do to make yourself more competitive for next season. Add your comments below as well. As always, we hope that everybody enjoyed the podcast. And if you did, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't checked us out on our social media channels already, then pop along to our X page and our Instagram page. And if you like to watch or listen to your podcasts on Spotify, you'll find us on there as well now. And you'll see the handles appearing on the screen for all of these channels right now. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already and you'd like to do so, then press that big red subscribe button. And if you like notifications, every time we put a new podcast out, then hit the little bell icon next to the subscribe button to get a notification when we put a podcast out. So that's it for this podcast. Hope you've enjoyed it. And myself and Matt will see you on the next one, all about Birmingham City.